My darling Yussra,
My queen.
it's always so amazing having you and having you in Egypt for the second time after your masterclass in December. We're so happy to have you here in DAOU venues.
Thank you.
And I'm so excited to dive into a lot of questions for the audience to learn from one of the best aesthetic doctors who got awarded not once but many times as one of the top aesthetic injectors in the UK and one of the best, in my opinion, in the world. Dr. Yussra, we're so proud to have you here with us. First, to share your experience and expertise with Dow Doctors, and second, to have you here on this podcast to give us all the honest answers to all of our questions that we've gathered from a lot of our patients.
Thank you so much. And first of all, thank you for having me in one of the most beautiful clinics I've seen all over the world with a queen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my darling. So my first question to you. So, with my scientific background as a chemist, I try to merge my scientific integrity with patient care for a more evidence-based practice clinic and providing top-notch treatments with a lot of science and AI and machines and devices and lasers, because I love lasers and I really believe in them, and I love that you love lasers too and machines, and this shaped my DAO philosophy for the brand. You also shifted from dentistry to aesthetics. And I also feel like this shift has brought your own unique set of philosophy that I would love for you to elaborate on.
To be honest, I think my philosophy started from youth. I had an accident when I was much younger and ended up with a large scar on my face. And I realized from then, that was the age of 8, that aesthetics is not skin deep. I had made a decision at that point. I needed stitches to fix a large scar that came from my lip to my chin, which was quite prominent as I was growing up, and people would always ask me, what's wrong with your face? And it impacted me. And then at the age of 16, I developed acne, and that impacted my self-esteem. And I made a decision from then that I was going to go into healthcare, I was going to help people, and I knew that the outside does impact how we feel on the inside. And you cannot say that aesthetic medicine is skin deep. And it's not vanity alone, but it is a wellness treatment. It forms part of people's wellness regime. So when I went into dentistry, I took a year out and I went and I did my medical science degree at Imperial College London. And then I went into maxillofacial surgery for 2.5 years.
I was in Imperial College London.
Were you? I'm telling you.
First year, I was studying medicinal chemistry in Imperial.
Yeah.
But I had to come back. Unfortunately, I couldn't continue because Ali and Adam were born when I was 19. But my first year of college was in Imperial College.
So, it was like that underlying underpinning philosophy that's been there for such a long time. And then when I went into maxillofacial surgery, the patients that we were treating were patients from road traffic accidents, domestic violence, head and neck cancers. That essentially is a very visible disease, right? So if you have a fracture in the head and neck area, the whole world knows. It's not like your toes. Yeah. Yes. Same with the head and neck cancer. Same with those with domestic violence. They cannot hide these things. And same with those who are born with congenital deformities or craniofacial disproportion, which means, for example, an underdeveloped mandible. And from then, my postgraduate training, I realized that the treatments that we do have a profound and significant impact on our patients' well-being. And then I shared the story with you. When I was 19 years old, I developed my own autoimmune condition, which was a really tough journey of healing. And traditional medicine didn't quite cut it until I found functional medicine.
Exactly.
So I feel like these two, rather traumatic events, the cut and the laceration on my face, plus the autoimmune condition, was in a way a gift from God, because yes, it was hardship, but through that suffering, it developed my understanding of human beings, of human psychology, and the philosophy that I have today, which is on my wall, which says radiance on the outside, wellness on the inside. And that's my mission. It's been my mission from day dot to help our patients not just look good, but feel good from the inside out. And I feel really passionate about this. And I think that you can't treat mind without treating body, and you can't treat body without treating mind.
It's mind, body, and soul.
Totally.
It's the trinity of the three together. I'll tell you how we're both we're always so aligned, me and you. My slogan is beauty comes from within.
Yeah.
And I always say we empower the mind by educating the mind. Our consultations are patient education.
Yeah.
We treat the body with the latest of machines and the latest of science and evidence-based practice. And we enlighten the soul with the kindness of the people and the doctors and the nurses and the receptionists and the team of DAO. And I always choose my team in DAO based on their kindness and purity and positivity.
Yeah.
As you saw, they're all angels.
Yes.
And this to me is very important, to have angels around treating the patient, holding his hand from the very beginning of the welcoming and the reception to the nurse who's putting the Emla cream on her face, to be gentle, caring and loving so she can touch the soul and make sure the patient feels at comfort and ease. So if it's not those three aspects ticked, the patient will not have a holistic journey to his well-being. And of course, the part where we say inside before outside is through functional medicine. And that's why the first consultation room in every clinic, in any clinic of mine, is a nutritionist's office, to see a nutritionist, to screen for any deficiencies in vitamins and minerals in their body, to see their lifestyle in body, see how their sleep pattern is, their well-being is, so we can fix that. And when this is fixed, this helps a lot in hair loss problems, in acne problems, in autoimmune problems like psoriasis patients. They follow up with our nutritionists. I have a psoriasis patient who refused to take biological therapy with one of our dermatologists and wanted to continue with functional medicine. And to be honest, it has been good. Okay, not as effective as the biological treatment, but it has really brought down the attacks. It has really helped subside the lesions from showing. And it's done great work for something to not include any drug being injected in the body, and just modifications in the lifestyle and boosting the immunity with vitamins and minerals. So that's a lot of benefit for us. I think with functional medicine, people don't still, it's not very common that people understand the value and the impact that a lifestyle modification can have on our well-being and on really chronic diseases where conventional medicine has fell short to treat completely, like your case, like psoriasis, like autoimmune diseases.
I think it's multifactorial. So a few things there. First and foremost, I think this holistic overview on human health is, unfortunately missing in many subspecialties, because in medicine and dentistry, what has happened through specialization is people have started looking at organs as these individual features, as if the body isn't talking to each other. Exactly. And it's really vital that we step back and we take this bird's eye view of what's going on for the patient. And actually, when I had my autoimmune condition, I suffered for 10 years and I used steroids. I was on painkillers for a daily basis. What people don't realize is these man-made medicines have a side effect.
Of course.
And the side effect for me of long-term steroid use was development of osteoporosis in my spine. This is not small, it's a big deal, particularly being a healthcare provider. And it wasn't until I heard and learned about functional medicine at a time where it was deemed airy-fairy, woo-woo, and the man that I saw changed my life, changed the trajectory of my life. And he taught me, and it's a saying that I say to my patients, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. What we put in our body fuels our body.
You are what you eat.
100%. You wouldn't take a car that needs petrol and put diesel in it. It won't function. Our bodies are designed for a specific type of nutrition, but we abuse our body.
Of course.
And so how are we going to give the best output if we're not giving it the right input?
We take our bodies for granted, our internal health for granted, because we don't see it. And then we go to an aesthetic doctor and we ask her to erase all the signs of this poor lifestyle, sun damage, overexposure to pollution, all these detrimental extrinsic factors that has caused a lot of cellular damage. We expect the esthetician to just, have a magic wand and cut 20 years, bring you back in a time machine 20 years back. It won't happen if it's not done inside out.
Do you know, I'm going to elaborate on that. I'm going to say we can take a 40-year-old and mask aging, but all we're doing there is masking it, right? We're putting a plaster on. It's not real, and it's not going to last if we aren't again, looking at aging at a cellular level. If you really want to get the best possible results, you have to optimize lifestyle. You have to start to think about what's the trajectory of aging, what's happening on a cellular level. Because if I'm just sticking fillers in or nipping and tucking, and actually my lifestyle is staying the same, and I'm doing all the same things that are causing accelerated premature aging.
Like what?
Smoking, not sleeping well, poor
Sugar.
diet, high sugar, which will cause glycation.
Definitely.
All of these things. Inappropriate or not using skincare as an adjunct to the work that we do, or as a prevention to premature aging, then you're just going to ruin your investments.
I always tell patients, your skin starts at home.
Yeah.
Like my advice to everyone is your skin health and well-being starts at home with your daily commitment, religious commitment to your skincare. And then what we do is we boost it. But if you don't have a proper skincare routine that suits your skin and that matches the condition and the mood your skin is at in the different seasons of the year, in different phases of your life, you have to understand, feel your skin, talk to your skin, see what my skin is feeling oily. I'm not going to put heavy moisturizers in now. I'm going to cut it off in the summer because it already feels moist. I'm going to use a lighter moisturizer or a lighter serum. And you talk to your skin and you adjust your skincare accordingly. Yes. But you're religious about your skincare. Your skin is going to be very, very good. Yeah. And then whatever you're going to do in the clinic, you're going to maximize and you're going to build on it.
Absolutely.
But this thinking and this thought that I'm going to come to the clinic, I'm going to do a treatment once every blue moon because I don't have time to commit. I'm too lazy to commit to my skincare. I'm too lazy to commit to my lifestyle. It's not going to give you long-lasting results. It's not going to treat you inside out. It's not going to be real transformation. As you said, it's just going to be putting a plaster and masking the aging, but not really tackling it at a cellular level and at a deeper level. And you're still aging from the inside. You didn't do anything inside.
It's short-lived. I liken it to going to the dentist and having your teeth clean but not brushing your teeth every day. You wouldn't do that. Every day, you change your underwear, you brush your teeth, right? Exactly. That's your non-negotiables. So your skincare needs to be a non-negotiable. Every day you get up, you have to do your non-negotiable skincare. SPF, even here in the Middle East, is underused. This May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month. Did you know that skin cancer is the #1 cancer in the United Kingdom, where we barely have some?
But I have also an issue with skin cancer and the Middle East.
Yes.
In the Middle East, the cases of skin cancer are very low, very low.
Skin
because
type,
we have
a
higher skin type, and therefore we have more melanin in our skin, our genotype, and therefore the probability of someone having skin cancer is very low. We barely see it in the clinic, and we are a medical dermatology clinic here in Egypt, and therefore I sometimes ask myself this question because, of course, for Europeans, for people of fair color, it's very important for them to be protected to prevent damage. But for somebody like me, for example, I'm not a European, very fair person, and I don't have any history of skin cancer. And my grandmother never wore sunblock, and my grandmother is fairer than me, and she never developed skin cancer, and neither has any of her family, and they've never used sunblock. So to me, I sometimes question, do I really need sunblock? Okay, I understand in the summer, going directly in the summer in the sunlight. I don't want to have sunspots. I don't like them. I'm somebody that doesn't like the freckles and the sunspots. So I put sunblock in the summer when I'm going on the beach or I'm going directly in the sun. And I also protect with a physical hat. But on a day like today, to be honest, I don't put sunblock because I don't feel the need. I just put a moisturizer and that's it. But this overselling of sunblock for people in the Middle East, to me, I feel like we're stressing on sunblock for patients, and sunblocks are packed with chemicals. They are packed with chemicals. And we're not focusing on moisturizing as much. So we're having a lot of people washing their face in the morning, people that just want it very simple and basic, washing their face and putting sunblock and not moisturizing. And I feel like their skin quality is poor. Is poor. Of course, in Egypt, we have tendency to develop pigmentation, like high risk of melasma and pigmentation here in the Middle East. In Egypt, especially in Egypt. In Syria, not that much. In Egypt, a lot. And that's why I feel like, yes, it is important to put sunblock, but it's also very important to moisturize your skin.
Yes.
To me, skincare is about moisture.
Yeah.
Moisturizing the skin makes it healthy, makes it intact,
Yeah.
and therefore more capable of fighting inflammation and irritation from any extrinsic irritant. Like if I don't put my sunblock one day, I'm sorry, not my sun. If I don't put my skincare one day,
Yeah.
and I just become lazy and I don't put it,
Yeah.
I feel like my skin gets irritated and it can break out because it hasn't been well protected with moisture.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things to say there. First and foremost, I agree with you. Sun protection, some SPFs are, and they're ultimately they're chemicals, right? And this is a matter of huge debate because chemical SPFs, and a lot of people don't know this, that there are specific ingredients which, to me, I don't give to my patients, which are octocrylene,
Definitely.
avobenzone, homosalate, and we know that they can be absorbed into systemic circulation and may have an impact on our endocrine system, and therefore we call them endocrine disruptors.
And some countries like Hawaii, they've banned them.
Absolutely. So it's a matter of debate because scientific evidence, in my opinion, hasn't yet caught up, right? But the red flags are already there. We know that they're absorbed systemically, and we know that they exert some impact on the endocrine system. So why not use an alternative that doesn't exert that impact? A mineral, which is, for example, zinc oxide. Yeah, zinc oxide is fantastic and actually exhibits healing properties on the skin.
Of course.
You know, we use them on babies' bottoms for nappy rash. So zinc oxide is fantastic. So that's kind of my go-to.
Yeah.
And I think pathogenesis of sun damage, there are different trajectories. You can have tumor genesis, in other words, the development of melanoma or non-melanoma skin cancers, BCCs, basal cell carcinomas, squamous cell carcinomas, which we see a lot of in the United Kingdom because of the phenotype, right? They don't have the ability to protect against that. But whether we like it or not, the UV rays are ionizing radiation.
Yeah.
And so that word is important. It is radiation and it has the ability to ionize, right? So it can ionize, and you know what I mean by that.
Definitely.
And so the outcome can be varied. It can be the development in cancer, which I agree is more common in white Caucasian patients. But in our Arab phenotype, the trajectory is elastosis of the skin, so solar elastosis. And you see this with rhytid, you see this with laxity of the skin, you see this with poor skin quality, dehydration. You also see it with hypermelanosis. So they exhibit pigmentation or uneven skin tone. So that alone is melasma is so difficult to treat because it's chronic, right? Once a patient develops that, it can be really difficult to chip away at and keep at bay. So for those patients in particular, I think sun protection is non-negotiable.
It's a must.
But it does depend, you know, we've got to be honest, it depends on your underlying genotype, as with all things.
Definitely. Going to our next question with aesthetics.
Yes.
Before diving deep into aesthetics, I want to talk to you about lasers because what I love about you, Yussra, is that you are an incredible aesthetic doctor who happens to have a lot of knowledge on skin anatomy, skin building, biostimulators, using all various types of biostimulators. And I love that you use polynucleotides, you use polylactic acid, calcium hydroxyapatite. You use all different molecules in their right place for the right patients. And we've talked about it at depth in your masterclass last time. And I want to know from you the power of lasers when it comes hand in hand with biostimulators to build skin. Do you feel like you can build skin with one of those tools alone, or the value of lasers in a clinic? Because I invest heavily in lasers and you invest heavily in your practice in lasers.
Yeah.
And it's a big investment for a clinic.
It sure is.
It's the biggest
not
investment
cheap.
we do. It's the most expensive
absolutely.
investment we do is our lasers, especially with the high-tech lasers like Pico laser, like Rolls Royce of lasers, and all the various machines that we have to get that target the muscle, target different aspects of the skin. Every wavelength targets something. So you have the yellow laser or the pulse dye for the rosacea, for the vascular. You have the Pico for the pigmentation. You have the Q switch. You have the radio frequency. You have the ultrasound. You have all fractional lasers. That's just to name a few. And we really endorse them. And you see value in them, and I love that you see value in them, even though you have magic hands and
I don't know about that.
inject. No, it's true. You have magic hands, and you are an incredible aesthetic queen injector who is like top notch. At the same time, you value lasers, you invest in lasers, and you put them in your practice. I want you to tell us why you do so. What's your philosophy on that, and on combinations protocol, and like elaborate more on lasers and their value in our practice.
I love lasers. I absolutely love lasers. And I also think combination protocols are paramount. It's compounding your investments ultimately, right? So skincare is one thing, which is optimizing your skin's ability to turn over and protecting your investment. That's your skincare. That's what it's there to do. And of course, protects your barrier function. But then what about resurfacing the skin? We are limited in our ability to do things with filler. Filler is one tool that I think unfortunately has been overused in aesthetic medicine.
And abused.
Absolutely. Used and abused. Absolutely. And I think the reason why that is number one, clinicians are seeing the face as individual features and they're not assessing holistically. And number two, it's not educating themselves and their patients on the trajectory of aging. And we have to remember that the face is aging in all 5 layers, right? So the skin is starting to degrade and degenerate. The superficial fat is expanding. The muscle is starting to become loose. It is losing laxity. And then the deeper structures that provide the face support are losing volume. And the fat is resorbing, and so too is the bone. So fillers are tools that are volumizers that should be utilized to replace lost volume. And that is it. They are not regenerative. And so we're now moving rapidly into an era moving away from being an industry focused on vanity alone to being an industry focused on wellness. And with that, we're moving into regenerative aesthetics. And so what are our tools to regenerate, to rejuvenate, to stimulate cellular repair? And there's a difference between regeneration and biostimulation. So lasers, you've asked me about lasers. I have a multitude of different lasers in my clinic. I utilize them for different pathologies and different diagnoses and different end outcomes, depending on the patient, depending on what they want, the downtime that they can afford, and what's best for their particular skin type or skin concern. Lasers are attenuated light sources that have the ability to resurface the skin. So the gold standard for skin resurfacing is CO2 laser. But that in the Middle East can be quite difficult because, again, phenotype, genotype of this patient's skin.
It's all about skin preps.
Skin prep.
When you prepare the skin and you have a very good, solid fractional laser, and to be honest, this is not an advertisement, but this is true because it is. We have to say from experience of all doctors in the Middle East and in a country like Egypt, it's a very hot country. Ponto from Decca, and this is not an advertisement. This is real, sincere. I think Decca are the first inventors of CO2 fractional laser. Their laser is very safe. You could vary the parameters. You can do a very cool peel that is like cold ablation, which has, thankfully, when used in the right hands, minimized any complications from happening.
This is the key. This is the key, is using the right hands and the parameters, right?
Definitely.
Because I think people have a fear of lasers because of, we have a show in the UK called Sex and the City, and there was a woman who had a peel and she looked like a burns victim. And yes, traditional CO2 is like that. But now you can vary the parameters for cold ablation, which means it's not a deep thermal injury.
Exactly.
Which means the recovery time is very fast. There's little to no downtime, and you're getting gradual improvement on the skin surface. So understanding how to utilize lasers is vital for the end outcome.
Definitely.
And there's nothing scary about it. You can use them in, like a really light resurfacing, actually, to just rejuvenate the skin.
Like the erbium fractional, it's even more gentle than the CO2 fractional.
Yeah. And the idea of fraction, what do we mean when we're saying fractional? We mean a fraction of 100%.
Exactly.
So you can do 10% resurfacing, 20, 30, 40. It doesn't have to be a complete burn.
Exactly.
And then there is ablative and non-ablative. What does that mean? That means we either choose to burn the surface of the skin, remove, or non-ablative, which means deeper heat into the dermis while sparing the integrity of the epidermis. Fantastic for for the patients in this kind of region.
Lunchtime procedure, zero downtime, like the picogenesis, like a lot of lasers,
erbium glass laser,
exactly, erbium glass lasers that work on remodeling the skin from inside, deeper layer, and keeping the outer layer of the skin intact.
So no downtime.
This is my favorite kind of laser because I don't have to worry about downtime. I can shoot the next day. I can go to work. I can be myself. So I love those lasers. And that's why I'm a huge fan of having all types of lasers, because sometimes you need CO2 laser for acne scars, for deep scars. You need that deep remodeling and that strength of thermal damage. You need to really work on the skin inside out. And sometimes you need something more superficial. Sometimes pico laser works with the LIUB, works deeper remodeling for ice pick scars, for people with a mix of different types of scars, rolling, ice pick, box scar. It can really help work from down upwards when combined with something that's ablative on the surface. So it's having those different tools to maximize the skin rejuvenation and regeneration with the energy you're giving it from the different light sources of those laser machines, that really add a different layer of edge and strength to the treatment plan of the patients when combined with biostimulators, which are injectables. So there is nothing that will regenerate the skin that could be injected inside other than lasers. Lasers cannot be substituted by biostimulators, which are things like polynucleotides, PLLA, polylactic acid, or calcium hydroxyapatite. All those, those molecules that we know, like Radia, Sculptra, Luma, all those brand names that people know. Those injectables cannot substitute lasers.
Look, it's so important that people understand this, because I think people think, well, I have this or this, which one? And sometimes it's not really which one. It's not salt or pepper or tomatoes or cucumbers in my salad. Sometimes you need both. And it is compounding interest, and they work synergistically, and it's a turbo boost. So, I often combine different lasers at the same time. I think this is an important thing to understand. What is the target chromophore of that laser? And I know we're going to get scientific here, but there's different types of lasers that can target different layers. And this is where we spoke last time about this. Is the laser exerting a photochemical effect? Is it exerting a photomechanical effect? Is it
acoustic effect, like the pico, thermal effect, like the CO2 laser, and for example, ultrasound penetrates deep, works on deep tissue. There you have lasers that work more superficial. So it's like when you were talking to me today, and you were telling me about our friend. Do you have an ultrasound machine to work at the muscle level? And I told you I have the machine that works for tightening the muscles. So we want to use an energy that targets a certain layer of the skin, because it's we can't just work on one layer and then leave. As you said, the skin's 5 layers. You need to work inside out on all layers, and plus you need to work inside on your gut first. Lifestyle. So it is a holistic approach to have a beautiful radiant skin, to have that beautiful glass skin, age gracefully, look great but not done. And going to our final question about aesthetics and the trend in aesthetics. I'm so grateful to God. When I first entered this field in 2019, the trend was the Texas, the Russian lips, the overly filled face, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot bear to stand this this approach. It is horrible. Patients are being deformed and alienized, and they're not looking them, and they're shifting from their own authentic and original features, which is much more beautiful and filled with their soul. Their soul gets erased with the amounts of fillers that is misplaced and volumizing and augmenting and alienizing their features, and they're all looking the same. And to me, that really scared me at the beginning. And I said, oh my God, I don't want to inject fillers in my I don't want people to inject fillers in my clinic. I don't want doctors injecting fillers in my clinic. And then I had doctors very upset. They told me, by the way, we know how to inject fillers. Why don't you want us to inject? And I had the first article in with Rabia al-Hanadi, I'll never forget, before opening my clinic in Zahrat al-Khalij. It was a release of Mother's Day, and Mother and I were the cover of that magazine, and Rabia al-Hanadi, a very big journalist, had an interview with me regarding my DAO project that was about to open after like a month or 2 months. And I told him in the interview, I'm going to open a clinic that does not use fillers. I even wrote it. It's in the magazine. I don't want to use fillers and Botox. I want it to be all natural and all about regenerative medicine, lasers, biostimulators, and all that. I realized that in some cases, like as you said, volume loss, people with real corrective indications, they need fillers. Only fillers can correct. But fillers are not to be abused. So I reached that middle ground soon after, right before opening. And of course, I had to have fillers as one of the tools. But I made a staircase principle that you saw.
Yes, I love
used
it.
in the presentation.
Yes,
I was so happy to see you use it.
Yeah.
And it helped, put some kind of scientific principle and approach.
Foundation
For all doctors in DAO everywhere to ensure that we start with lifestyle, then skincare, then dermatology grade facials, because you need to clean the pores and remove the dead skin layers so you can effectively use your skincare. And then we have regenerative procedures, which we've talked about, like biostimulators and lasers to regenerate. And then the last step would be the corrective procedures using fillers and Botox. And that is the last key you use after fixing skin quality and skin health. And of course, gut health above and before anything, because gut health is your well-being and health, and we need to be healthy more than we need to have our lines erased. We need to be healthy and filled with energy so we can live life fully. That's what's important, so we can carry on our job, give and give energy here and there. We need to have energy inside our bodies, and we need to feel well. And I'm happy now that the trend has changed. People are, alhamdulillah, going to more natural. They're dissolving the fillers. I want you to tell me from your side and from your part of the world in UK, how is that also changing? Have people also been wanting to reduce the fillers that were the Russian lips and the Texas fillers and all the augmentations that went overboard the years before?
Look, I think bad news makes news, right? And
tell me about it.
And this continues. So we will continue to see trends come and go. And I've been doing this for long enough. I've been doing this for 15 years. I have seen trends come and go in this time. And I always say to my patients when I'm educating them, I do not want you guys to be trend chasers. I want you to be educated consumers and be able to filter through the noise. Now, there is a lot of misinformation in the industry. And yes, this is true. We have seen alienization, distortion, abuse and overuse of fillers. And I think we'll continue to see that in subsets because of misinformation, lack of education, and unfortunately, there will be people who sell this kind of stuff, right? And it's important to understand, number one, the scope of fillers and the limitation of fillers. Fillers, as I said earlier, are volumizers that should be used as tools to replace lost volume, and that alone, or as skin boosters. Best. That's it. Okay. And so they cannot be used to replace or to restore or to treat laxity in the muscle layer. When you start to do that, you will end up looking distorted. And that's why a statement I say all the time is all 5 layers of the face need to be in the same decade. And it's, my consultations are 1 hour long. I spend a lot of time, like your doctors, educating my patients so that they understand the trajectory of facial aging and why I say, look, fillers I'm only going to use for this area. You're going to need lasers. You're going to need muscle tightening treatments because I need to make sure all of the layers are in the same decade. Otherwise, you start to look distorted if the face is moving in different ways. The other thing is misinformation regarding fillers. People are scared now about fillers because they've seen an MRI go viral, which, as you know, is a patient that I had that had come to see me who was a celebrity who had filler in her tear trough.
Yes.
And she came to me asking me for more filler in her tear trough to correct what we call Tyndall effect, superficial filler. And more is not more. Sometimes you need to reverse and start fresh and give a fresh canvas, a blank canvas to your injector so that they can create their art. But adding more to try and correct poorly placed or migrated filler is a wrong thing. And then with this particular patient, we did an MRI, which then went viral, over 90 million views. And people now think, oh my God, fillers are bad. No, fillers are not the culprits. The culprit is the person holding the tool. The tool is only as good as the artist. The paint is only as good as the artist holding that paint and painting that drawing. So I think fillers should not be vilified, but the injectors need to be educated, and the patient needs to be careful about who they're trusting their face to. You know, I always say, don't Groupon your face. We have something called Groupon in the UK that people use, and they try and bargain over your face. No, don't Groupon your face. I wouldn't even Groupon my toes. I have 10 toes. I wouldn't compromise on my toes.
Of course.
So don't compromise on your face.
Definitely.
And understand the scope and the limitation, and find an injector who's not afraid to say no. Right?
With damir.
With lamir.
Conscious.
With ethics.
With
conscious.
ethics.
Yeah. Professional integrity. You do such a great job. You know, I've seen the doctors in your clinic. They have the same ethos, the same philosophy. I hire only
Your
based
vibe
on
attracts your tribe.
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Wise friend once told me, called Yussra.
You know, this is so important that you hire based on character, because you can, I often say, you can teach a monkey to inject, you can teach the skills, but you can't teach character.
Definitely.
And character means professional integrity and having
values. They're raised with it.
Yeah.
They're raised with it at home.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with skills that we invest, like today.
Yeah.
We have Dr. Zak Ali. You were there a few months before training the doctors. This we can invest in for anyone and teach them how to inject and learn the tricks and what layers and how to beautify and all that. But ethics and values, that's done at home when they were brought up. So this is something that we need to be very conscious of in all fields.
Yeah.
Like even going for my doctor, when I had to choose my surgeon for my doctor, I had to be careful to go to a doctor who's not just going to put a lot of screws into me just because he's going to take a commission from the company. I had to go and look for someone that will do exactly what I need and not more, because that could harm me later on and prohibit my mobility. And I was told to have a lot of screws done to my spine and by two doctors.
I didn't even know this.
Yeah. And then I went and I had a very minor operation in Germany, and it was very minor, just to remove the protruding part of the disc. But they wanted to fix my spine, and that would have prohibited my mobility. And if it wasn't that I took several opinions and then trusted my instinct to which doctor I felt I trusted more, I wouldn't have gone through the hassle. I wouldn't have gone to the person that was right for me and did the minimal thing for me. So as you said, going to a medical doctor who says no is someone that has damir, and is someone that we should, because you have patients that go to a doctor. I just saw a patient yesterday in Weston. I was at the hotel. I was at the spa, and I saw her, and she had misplaced filler in her under eye. And she told me, I came to Vanya and she told me to go away, that you don't need anything. And then I went to another doctor and she injected me. And then now I have to come to Vanya
to reverse it.
And I was like, you see, you went to an honest doctor and she told you, please, you don't need anything. And then you went to someone that had agreed to take your money and inject you when not indicated. And look at where you've reached.
Yeah.
So a doctor that says no is somebody that you should hold on to and not beg to do and force him to do things that are not right for you. Because your face is everything to you, and some things are irreversible. And fixing them is not like an eraser. Hyalase has its drawbacks. As we know, it can dissolve the integrity of the tissue, and this happened to my lips. I had fibrosis in London, by the way. Queen of lips in the UK injected my lips, and I had a fibrosis that formed because she touched me up 2 days, because I was going back to Egypt. So I wanted a retouch because I got greedy and I wanted more volume. So I came to her I came back to her 2 days later, and she added more, and that was when the fibrosis formed. A lump formed in my lip, and it was so fibrotic that no Hyalase would dissolve it, and it took years to break down with a lot of Hyalase injections and a lot of trying to blend it with fillers, and it would never work until it finally went down with Hyalase. But with that, the laxity of my skin and the integrity of the skin anatomy of my lips, like it really got distorted, and it became very loose, as you saw, and became very difficult to fix with fillers after that. And therefore now I'm doing it with lasers. As I told you, I'm regenerating the skin with lasers. So not everything is to be fixed with injectables, and sometimes Hyalase and hyaluronidase, the enzyme that breaks down the fillers, actually breaks down your tissue. So it's not like a razor that will just cleanly just remove the filler and leave the integrity of the matrix. We wish this was the case, but this is not the case. So we have to be very careful with every drop of filler, with who to trust with our face, with what product to use in our face, to not go for a cheap product, because it does make a difference, doesn't it?
100%. Not all fillers are made the same. Not all polynucleotides are made the same. Not all lasers are made
You always
the same.
ask for specific.
I do.
Asked for specific fillers
Yes.
in your masterclass,
Yes.
in your hands-on. You always ask for specific
Yes.
high A class tier products for your patients, which are, by the way, MERS is one of my top tier, and this is not an advertisement. We don't take money from companies. We're just saying, like, I'm saying my honest opinion. You have a company like MERS, Brutero,
Restylane. These products have been around for a really long time.
Tioxan.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job.
Yes,
I think they're very good.
I agree. I think ultimately, it's very important that people understand. In the UK, it's not very regulated, and there are over 500 different fillers in the market.
Yeah.
If you compare that to, for example, the USA, there's less than 20. So they have very strict regulation on what can be circulated and used, which is important because ultimately that comes down to safeguarding patients.
Of course.
And I wouldn't have a foreign body injected into me that didn't have a high safety profile and a low risk profile.
Definitely.
These products have stood the test of time.
Exactly.
They are regulated. They have been tried and tested. We know that they have a low inflammatory profile. We know the content of BDDE. These all make a difference to how they interact with the tissues that they are injected with. So I'm very selective about what I inject in my patients, because my plan, hopefully, inshallah, is to be here for the long term. So I don't think short term. I think, how is this product going to respond in my patients' tissues for the next 10 years? Because I hope that I'm going to be here to see them and watch them. And, I've held the hands of my patients for the last 10, 12 years. I know how it ages with them. So I take that really seriously.
Exactly. The long-term effect. I always say, what I wouldn't do for my mother, I wouldn't do for patients.
Exactly.
And that's why, for example, in DAO, I don't offer body fillers and I don't offer threads. What is your say on both of these treatments?
I dislike them with a passion. I don't offer them.
You see, we don't offer body fillers and we don't offer threads at our clinics because we cannot guarantee the safety of those treatments on the long run.
I think with threads, to be honest, I'm sorry to anybody who offers them, I think they don't work at best and they cause horrific complications at worst.
And years later, the fibrosis can come up.
Absolutely. I mean, the things that I have seen in my clinic, complications clinic, I cannot tell you. I see people who've had threads even in their nose. I do a lot of rhinoplasty work. And anjad anqahar, like my heart hurts when I see that. So I think you can't lift jowls with threads. You need a rope to lift. So you got to be realistic. Again, it's about the scope and the limitations of the tools that you have in your toolkit and safety profile. The risk-benefit analysis. If something is going to create more risk, has more risk than benefit, then no, ditch it. So yeah, for me, threads are a hard
What about
no.
body filler?
I don't offer body fillers. I think they are high risk as well. I think there's a space for biostimulation in certain areas, particularly, for example,
polylactic acid.
Polylactic acid.
For hip dip?
For hip dip.
I'm injecting
for behind.
My hip dip.
Yeah.
Next week with polylactic acid.
There you go. I think polylactic acid, biorejuvenation, biostimulation, to help particularly with patients who might have laxity or cellulite or hip dip in the glutes. Yes, there is a space for that. But hyaluronic acid fillers
in huge amounts.
In huge amounts, actually at worst can kill.
Of course,
there have been cases of death.
Exactly. There was a case that passed away at another clinic.
And here.
Yeah. There was a case that passed away less than a month ago.
Oh.
And by, unfortunately, not by a certified medical practitioner. He is a
Which is
pharmacist.
Yeah.
And he injected her body filler. And embolism happened. And imagine, Yussra, people thought that I injected her because his initials are the same initials as me.
Oh my goodness.
Sheen Aleph and me, Sheen Aleph, and they thought that I injected her. I've never held a needle in my life. I don't even know how to give my own grandmother the Voltaren injection for her back when her back pains. I have to bring a pharmacist. I have to bring somebody from the Saydaliya. I've never injected in my life, and I never want to inject. So this is not something I like doing. And they had rumors all over that I've injected her. But anyways, I neither offer this treatment, the body filler, and I neither inject. So that was a big rumor that unfortunately got propagated viciously. And they used the closing of my clinic with the paperwork that was being transferred from doctor to doctor. Like some people made this rumor, and it's just not true. Of the records, I just wanted to confirm that body fillers are not good for you.
I would never do it to myself. I would never do it to my family. I would never do it to my patients. And I say to my patients, I treat you how I would want my mom to be treated. And so if I wouldn't do it to my mom, I wouldn't do it to my patients. Seriously. I mean, this is my underpinning philosophy. It's my ethos. It's my safety is a non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. And that's why you are my love
Hayati.
and my best friend in this field, and we're always connected. And we're
aligned
in every way possible because we have the same heart, same ethos. I'm so grateful for this. I'm sure people are going to benefit so much from this interview. Please listen carefully, and these are all words from the heart, for your sake, for your interest, because we love you and we care for you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. God bless you. Thank you.